This is John Polrai. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. On this channel here, I'm covering Death vs. Heard quite a bit, and also the allegations against Marilyn Manson by Evan Rachel Wood and people say 11 other women. Now, concerning Manson, a conversation that's been happening online, social media, everywhere is this. Well, 11 women came out against him, including Evan Rachel Wood, and these allegations sound pretty good, so we should believe them this time. But then I'll say, and some other people will say, we need evidence. And then they'll say, well, how to get evidence? They don't have evidence. You can't get evidence. Well, I'm going to go through, on this video here, 23 ways to get evidence for abuse. Now, some of them repeat a little bit, so I don't know, I'd more honestly call it like 18 ways or 20 ways, but we'll go through them anyway. And the point is this. If Evan Rachel Wood wants to use her platform to actually help abuse victims, what you should do is not talk about yourself and how you were abused and why you were abused. That could be part of it. But what you want to do is you want to give them tools to actually help them prove the abuse. If you go to the Sun and you put in an article and you take money from the Sun for your story, how much is that helping actual abuse victims read that and say, oh, I'm being abused, you were abused, but you don't actually offer a way to help me. I know you're coming out and you're putting the subject out in the public, and that's fine. However, let's actually give them tools to prove it. Here we go. Any written rules imposed by the abuser. And by the way, Evan Rachel Wood has a few of these, but she doesn't have what I would consider the most important ones. So the first one is any written rules imposed by the abuser. So a lot of this has to do with kind of taking a log, taking a diary, keeping a memory of things in some way, shape, or form. Not sure why this one's important, but this is a suggestion. Information about abuse of previous partners, which is obviously pretty important. So, in Johnny Depp's case, the information is he didn't abuse anyone. Obviously, in Marilyn Manson's case, there's a mixture, but a lot of his long-term relationships and ex-wives say he did not abuse them, and I think his longest relationship was of 7 years, who claimed he was not an abuser. Proof that you were being financially marginalized. So here's the thing. If you have someone in the entertainment business accusing someone else in the entertainment business of abuse, and namely someone who's way higher than you, such as Amber Heard accusing Johnny Depp, or these actresses accusing Marilyn Manson, then that shows financial motive. You can show financial motive on the flip side if you have less money in some way, but finances are definitely an important thing to keep in mind. Records proving you provided most of the child care. So a lot of victims and abusers' issues involve children. I'm honestly not very educated in this particular issue, and we're not actually talking about kids in the Marilyn Manson case or the Johnny case. But this is recommended. Personal journal of physical and non-physical incidents. So this is kind of important to me because if you take a journal like day by day, it's a lot easier to believe that when you have the dates marked than just one big story that happened 10 years ago or 7 years ago or 5 years ago, something like that. Now I understand some of these things here are hard to do. However, if you do some of these things, it could actually give you a tool to give evidence for the abuse. Not just see some star accusing another star and saying, okay, I guess they gave some attention to it. That doesn't do so much. Calendar indicating days and frequency of abuse, very important. So again, if you mark down on a calendar what's going on, then you can prove certain things. Let's say you say he was isolating you from your family. Well, if you write down those dates, then that helps you prove those things. Because on those dates, you will not have pictures with them, phone conversations, well, maybe some, but if you get my drift, on those days, you'll have been isolated. On the flip side, if there's a picture of you and your family and him on those days, then, well, that means you probably weren't isolated. But the point is, keep those dates. And goes without saying, if a date you wrote something in a journal matches the police report or medical report, which we'll get into, that's good. And by the way, I say write in a journal because paper ages. You could prove how old paper is. If you bring a computer file, I guess that could be manipulated easier. But if you bring a paper that's like 4 years old to court, well, it's a little harder to say, ooh, when did she write that, or he? We know when you wrote it because the paper ages. Video recordings of arguments or conversations. So this is what, obviously, Johnny Depp has on Amber big time. And Amber took some videos that backfired on her in the UK court. Obviously, Judge Nicol, who was friends with Amber Heard and company, ignored it. But in a normal court case, the video evidence used against Amber would have made her look very bad. This is something we're missing from Manson. We've got his art, we've got his, music videos that are sick, kind of, for some people, but they're not evidence, they're not proof. That's what he did for a living, and it's not the same. So, if you can, video recordings, it's 2021, when you're talking about like 1989 or something, not so easy, but these days, most people should have access to some kind of recording device. And this is audio recordings, which is why I said these repeat a little bit, because that's pretty much the same as the point before it, so let's move on. And I put the iPhone there, because, just an iPhone these days, there you go. Photos or video of any injuries, and I said with face in shot is best, and I think physical paper is best, because obviously a photo ages too, and if you've got your face in the same picture, that's much easier than just the part of the body with the bruise, which might not even be you, to be honest. Johnny Depp was laying on a stretcher, and we see his face clearly in the picture. So all these things Johnny has against Amber are on this list here. And I should mention, the people who accuse Marilyn Manson don't have a lot of this list, just a couple here and there. Medical reports of your injuries or stress-related diagnosis. Obviously, medical reports cannot lie. If it really came down to a serious court case, the nurse or the doctor could be called in to confirm. Odds of them lying are very slim, especially in normal domestic cases with normal people, not like big millionaires. So very, very important medical reports. And they say also medical reports of your family members' injuries. Not sure exactly why. I don't make the connection, it's not like the abuser is going to abuse their family. But it's suggested. I can't explain everything perfectly, but it's suggested. And the big one, police reports, goes without saying. I put a big rainbow there with a tough cop. And, this is advice, basically. If you're being abused in a relationship, just be strong. Get a police report. It's going to help you in the long run to actually give the evidence you need to convict. Emails, text, or social media messages from the abuser, which Johnny Depp has. Because Adam Waldman has so many of those, right? When I look at this list, you could say Amber Heard has this one. She has that one, text message where Johnny said the F thing about her. That's like one of the very few things they could say, hey, this is distasteful, this is a bad thing he did. So, on this really long list, Johnny's got 85% of it, Amber's got 5% of it, So, it just goes to show what the good evidence is. And on Manson's side, I don't think we have anything quite like that. Maybe it's out there, maybe they have something, I'm not sure. Is it official? Is it real? I'm not sure. But this is another good thing. Screenshots of repeated calls, emails, texts, or voicemails from abuser. So I think there's a claim Marilyn Manson called Evan Rachel Wood a couple of hundred times, something like that. If she's got proof of that, the phone company should have that, but I think it's old. I think the whole thing is all this stuff is so old, there was no way for her to get proof. So what I'm saying is, from this point forward, if she wanted to help abusers, make a video like this. Say, hey, this is what we could do to prevent this from happening again. Don't keep going backwards and saying it happened to me, feel bad for me, happened to me. Let's actually give some advice on how to solve the problem. Verbal accounts and testimony from any witnesses. Not sure if Evan Rachel Wood has that or the other accusers have that. Third-party witnesses. And I'm going to say non-friend third party, like Amber's got all her friends. Johnny Depp has some people who are Amber's friends, witnesses against her. So that's like perfect. Amber's got her own friends. And some of them don't even want to testify. So, yeah, she's really got a problem. Documentation showing workplace incidents where abusers stalked or harassed. Okay. Maybe. Not everyone who's abused works, but okay. Photos of weapons used to harm or threaten. So Evan Rachel Wood said what he used. I don't think she has an actual picture of the actual thing he used. And from what I heard is that, electric stick, whatever it was kind of a common kinky thing that goth people and bondage people used. But okay, at least she mentions it. Like I said, she's got a few things on this list, but not the important ones. But she has a few. Screenshots or links showing abuser shared of images or videos you did not consent to. Again, this goes along the lines of emails, texts, things like that. Photos or video of items damaged or in disarray. I think this is what Amber was like trying to get to, with Johnny in the hotel room on the floor. But that had nothing to fucking do with her. He drank some alcohol and fell asleep on the floor. Like, I don't know, 80% of the rest of the world does once in a while. But if you've got like a kitchen that's all fucked up or whatever, great. Or a living room or something like that. Not like the guy's own hotel room when he's going to get drunk anyway. But yeah, the surroundings. Because if it's a real physical situation, odds are, a couple things are going to get messed up. Screenshots of any social networking site containing evidence of abuse, harassment, or stalking. Again, a little repetitive, along the lines of the emails, text, screenshots, stuff like that. Recordings of voicemails or phone conversations. So if they called you, you got to do this, got to be here, got to show up, do what I say. Bam, record that, and you got it. Details of any stalking incidents. Repetitive, like I said, there's more like 15 to 18 great points here. Some of them repeat a little bit. Veterinary records of any pet abuse. So what this is about, at first I was like, I don't know, this is a little weird. But what I found out was people who abuse, when a human's not around, tend to abuse a pet. So let's say you're being abused and you're living with the person. Well, at some point the person's going to go to work or go out or something. So you look at the pet, and if the pet's got some odd bruises or something like that, you can go to the vet and get those records on top of it. So I think Amber kind of tried to nail Johnny with this one. Like, he said that he was going to put my dog in a microwave. It ended up being, a ridiculous story about Johnny driving in a car yelling about her dog. It just sounded stupid. But, if someone is a serious actual abuser, they might actually abuse the pet in a physical way. It's very doubtful Johnny said that anyway. Of course, she has no audio of these things. So my point is, maybe Amber looked this up and she's like, oh, let me try to see if I could say Johnny Depp threatened my dog, boo. Which that is her dog, actually. But anyway, you guys, let me know what you think down below. Again, my main point here is instead of saying, and I'm not saying as you as a regular person being abused, as a celebrity coming out and saying, I'm so great, I'm putting this in the spotlight. Why don't you set up a way with your platform to give advice to actually help women prove they're being abused instead of saying you're abused, believe me. Just saying. If you're still listening, I'm sure this video is going to end up being pretty long, but if you're still here, consider subscribing. It's free. It's a little red button. You click it, you get more videos. Doing a lot of Depp vs. Heard, Marilyn Manson, Meghan Markle when it's important. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.